Welcome to the Viking Age podcast, the official podcast of the VikingAge.com. My name is Chris Schad. So I need to adjust my camera a little bit, I guess, here because everything's like slanted. But my name is Chris Schad. I write for Zone Coverage, Bring Me the News, and the Brookings Register. My co-host, Adam Patrick, managing editor of the Viking Age. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. And we're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. On today's episode, we're going to have some overreactions. Perhaps we'll have some trade deadline chatter. And of course, we will acknowledge him, whoever him may be. Adam, welcome back to, I guess you've been on 3 straight shows. You're really putting in some overtime here on the Roman Reigns schedule.
So.
Yeah. So overreactions, week 8. We've had a little bit of time to think about it. Do you elect to receive, or would you like to defer to open the show?
I think I'm gonna defer today and let you take the reins.
A little bit of wind. Maybe it's a little windy out there, or you just want to get the double tip at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I want to make sure. I don't know if you've seen to go to basketball, the Clippers wall.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to be shooting in front of that right now because that seems to be pretty intense.
So
what I've seen.
So what's the deal? Because somebody was saying like the road team chooses and like they want to have that wall in the second half. But if you're the road team and you have the option, wouldn't you just...
You probably don't want it in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Because they switch sides every quarter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's what, like 100 is it like 120 straight rows or 50 rows with no break in between or something like that?
And then like the first 20 are like the most psychotic Clippers fans they could find. Yeah. And it's just, So like they vetted a whole bunch of Clipper fans and they're like, this guy is mentally unstable. We'll give him front row seats. And like, it's just a dude with like he's got like a knife and like a voodoo doll, just like Kevin Durant, just like, you're going to miss this free throw.
It makes, the Vikings fans that dress up like just straight up monsters look like normal people.
This guy is a convicted felon. Let's give him in the second row. He's just got a gun. Oh, we're already off the rails and we're only 5 minutes into the show. So yes, I will take the kickoff and I'm going to go straight to the house because I've had a weekend to think about it. Of course, when we went off the air, the details about Christian Darrisaw's injury came out. And the Viking season is over. That is my, it's not even an overreaction really, because we lost 2 straight games for starters. Let's just go there. Our quarterback is Sam Darnold. And I don't know if you've heard about him, but he's like one of the biggest draft busts of all time. There was a graphic once where he had mono and he was out and they had him pointing towards the camera and it said mono. I don't know if you've ever heard about this before. No, and then there was another game where he like saw ghosts and they had him mic'd up and nobody knows about this. It's kind of weird. And I feel like we've been duped. Like Brian Flores has just been figured out. Honestly, I think we never should have fired Ed Donatel because Brian Flores is a fraud and he didn't prepare for Puka Nacua, and now he lost our left tackle and everything. I just think the Vikings should tank for a quarterback now because JJ McCarthy is not going to turn out either. They never should have let Kirk Cousins walk. JJ McCarthy, it's week 8 and he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet.
No interceptions though.
Don't be positive with this, Adam. The season is over. You're laughing and the season is over. Will Reichard hasn't missed a kick, but he's going to miss a kick. And when it happens, it'll be just like Gary Anderson. It's going to happen at the worst possible time. And then it'll become a head case like Blair Walsh. And somebody's just going to get hurt again. And it's going to be even worse. Like JJ's out here limping and he's out for the season. Christian Darrisaw, he got bent back pretty bad. Multi-ligament 10-month recovery period. And meanwhile, Jordan Love's over there in Jacksonville, gets bent every other way like The Exorcist. And if he because he's not wearing a Vikings jersey, I think that's why it wasn't so serious. If he was wearing a Vikings jersey, they would have had to amputate his leg on the field.
Yeah,
they would have just been like, "Oh my God, this is worse than the Teddy injury. Quick, I need everything."
They have the league's best backup in Malik Willis, apparently, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, and look at the NFC North, as the hockey kids would say, it's a wagon. Like, don't want to talk about the Wild right now because they're a wagon, but like the bolts are kind of rattling and the wheels kind of fall. It's like when you rush something when you're building something for your kid for Christmas. You have experience with that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Detroit. Did you see the Lions yesterday? Woo!
The Titans didn't.
They were like John Cena out there. You can't see me. Like they couldn't see anybody. Like Green Bay won with Malik Willis. I mean, Matt LaFleur deserves coach of the decade because he's the smartest guy in the room. Just ask him. And then Chicago, they almost beat the Commanders, but I mean, they looked like a great team for like 3 minutes of that game. I can't do this. Like, what? Why are we acting like this? Like, why? If you go on the internet right now, it's just, oh my God, the Vikings, they lost 2 games and they started 5-0. And this is just like 2016. And now we lost our left tackle and everybody's just going to get hurt. And I'm done with this team. I'm done. No. Like everybody gets hurt. It's the NFL. Like you have big injuries anywhere. Aiden Hutchinson's leg snapped in half. The Lions still won by 40 points yesterday?
Yeah.
Like the Packers lost Jordan Love. They still won. And the Bears are relatively healthy. But I mean, it's going to come crashing down. Go look at the 49ers right now. Everybody's like kind of dismissing them. But I mean, their healthiest player right now is a guy that got shot 2 months ago. Like Patrick Mahomes. He's healthy, but he didn't throw a touchdown for a month. And then he comes back, which by the way, like I saw that on Red Zone and like love Kevin Harlan. I think he should have a national job. He's one of the best broadcasters, regardless of sports, in sports right now. But I mean, they were celebrating like Jesus had just come back from the dead when he threw. Patrick Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown for 2 months, and now he's back. He threw 2 touchdowns against the powerhouse Las Vegas Raiders, and everything is fine. He even threw one to Travis Kelce, who is dating that one girl. Like everybody's got 2017 in their mind, and it was an outlier. You had a red hot quarterback. You had a defense where literally nobody got hurt, which is why they were so dominant. And you had a miracle play just to get into the NFC Championship game. And everybody looks at 5-2 like it's some sort of death sentence right now because the way the last 2 games were. The Los Angeles Rams, which Kevin O'Connell was an offensive coordinator for, lost 3 games in October, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. And you know what? I don't think this Vikings team is winning the Super Bowl. I don't really care because if they win a playoff game, I'll be happy. And do you know who they would play if the season ended today in the first round?
I do.
Kirko Chains, baby.
Mr. No Cap himself.
I'll get to him later. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, though, Vikings fans. Like, seriously, there's so much to the season. Like, if you mope around over the last 2 weeks, and you know what? Sure, the Vikings could ass bomb. They could finish 7-10 now that Darrisaw is gone. But you know what? There's other players on the team. They might make a trade, which I don't know if it's not Christian Darrisaw or not Christian Darrisaw. Who's the Dexter Lawrence or Jeffrey Simmons? I don't want it at the deadline.
Right. Yep.
But I bet you they'll make some type of move and they'll try and replace him. I mean, there's so much of the season left. Just enjoy it. Like, because in February, you're gonna be sitting there and be like, yeah, my Sundays are kind of boring. I wish the Vikings were playing today. And you spent the last 10 weeks pissing and moaning because, we lost 2 straight games and now everything's just going to go bad. So yeah, this is like my nicer way to say things than I did on Friday where it was just F-bombs and left and right. But I mean, over the weekend, it just got worse. So there it is. There's my overreaction to an overreaction.
And they lost. Those 2 games they lost are games that a lot of people thought they were going to lose heading into the season or even a few weeks ago. So like where people are freaking out over losses that were kind of expected. Like the Lions are really good. They're probably they're playing like the best team in the NFL right now. Yeah. I mean, they played the Titans, so anyone can look like the best team in the NFL. Did you see what Sean Payton said yesterday after beating the Panthers? How the Panthers were like, yeah, that's not a good team, so we're not really going to get excited about beating them. I was like, wow, okay. But
it was
yeah,
guaranteed win Sunday from what the beat reporters were saying.
From what Chris Thomas said. Yeah, the Broncos fans didn't get their money back because they won. But yeah, like it's an NFL season. The Vikings were not going to win every game. They were close. I know they lost by 10 to the Rams, but that game was close until the face mask that wasn't a face mask. And then the Lions game was obviously close. Came down to the final seconds with the field goal to win the game. But Hawkinson's coming back. Blake Cashman's coming back. They'll figure out whatever they need to figure out at left tackle. I think they'll still be okay, passing the ball. I know Christian Darrisaw is very good, and you can rely on him to just block guys on his own, but they'll probably need some more help over on that side now. But that kind of leads into my first overreaction from the last few days, which is I don't think the Vikings need to make a trade to replace Christian Darrisaw. The best plan right now that I've seen or heard thrown around is moving Blake Brandel over to left tackle and then activating Dalton Reisner and having him start at left guard. So, I mean, Reisner has only started games in the NFL in his career at left guard. So he would be the most familiar at that position instead of, switching him to right guard and possibly being out of position and potentially having the chance to be worse than Ed Ingram. I know it's a very high bar to clear. Ed Ingram has set that bar very high, but it's still a possibility. And then Brandel was an offensive tackle until this season. He was a backup offensive tackle with the Vikings for the last few years. And then before he even was drafted by the Vikings, he was the number 1 graded left tackle by PFF in 2019 during his final season at Oregon State. I know some
Go
people,
Beavers.
Yeah, some people like PFF, some people don't. But when it comes to offensive line, it seems to be pretty reliable. So I just don't think there's any point in the Vikings giving up future assets to trade for a position that could potentially be back to normal by the start of next season. The trades they need to make are positions that they can probably improve this year and forward. So that's why people are mentioning guys like Dexter Lawrence or Jeffrey Simmons or a young corner or something like that. Someone you can trade for and keep beyond this year. So I don't think they need to trade for anyone to fill their need at left tackle. Check back with me after next week, and I'll see if I still agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Darrisaw. It's a lot like when Kirk Cousins got hurt last year, right? Because we're like sitting there at the trade deadline. We're like, man, you got to replace Kirk. We got to find a replacement for Kirk. And you trade for Josh Dobbs and
Didn't people want Russell Wilson?
I think so. I don't know. They definitely wanted him I don't know if they wanted him in the offseason or not, but
right.
I mean, like whatever. So the Vikings have limited draft capital right now. They have a first rounder and they have 2 5th rounders. Yes, they'll get a 3rd round comp, but they can't trade that until it's actually awarded because, they have to see if Kirk gets hurt or Daniil Hunter gets. There's a whole bunch of things that go into the formula for compensatory picks. I would explain it, but I'd sound like Scott Steiner. You got a 50-50 chance of getting a 3rd round pick, but Kirk's a genetic freak. So, no, I mean, anybody. And here's the thing too. It's not like there are left tackles available everywhere, right? Like if a team's trading you a left tackle, like it's like any left tackle that hits free agency. It's like, there's a reason he's there. And I mean, outside of depth, like I would just rather have, I think Walter Rouse has been inactive all season. I'm not saying start him, but I'm saying get him on the active roster, have him suit up. I mean, if you're down to your 3rd string left tackle, I think a lot of teams are going to be screwed anyway. But Dalton Reisner is there are flaws to his game. He's not that great in the running game, but you also have a running back now that can make something out of nothing in Aaron Jones until, the wheels fall off there. But that's another discussion. Okay, I just got done being like, oh, it's just gonna go back. I mean, that's a valid one.
But then you thought about Jones, you thought about Ty Chandler being a number 1 the Vikings never went back, and you're like, oh well, all right, then the season's over.
Yes. Well, your running game is screwed in that point. It's like you might as well just put Nick Mullins in there so you can just throw daggers across the field. I got this, bro. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a trade you can make to replace Christian Narasaw, and I think you just got to jerry rig things until it gets there. I know the Vikings really like Blake Brandel at guard, but maybe you put him at left tackle, you put Dalton Reisner at guard, and you say, okay, our pass protection's not going to be what it was with Darisaw, but it's not going to be catastrophic. I think that's the goal right now, because even without Darisaw, you still have 2 weak links in the middle of your offensive line in Garrett Bradbury and Enda Ingram. So, what do you think? All right, here's an unhinged take. What if they move Brian O'Neill to left tackle? Would you do that?
No.
Okay. I didn't think you.
Because at this point,
I was thinking no either, but I just wanted to toss it out.
In the NFL at this point, like left end or right end on the edge rusher, like you got to, at this point, you have to have 2 good tackles, and he's at his best on the right side. I feel like back in the day, like, I don't know, like the mid 2000s, late 1990s or whatever, like you had to have a good left tackle because the defensive end lining up across from him was probably the best defensive end on the other team, which isn't the case anymore. Guys are moving around now everywhere, and so I think, keep O'Neill at right tackle. Don't get too crazy and cute or whatever and try and switch things up, because I think O'Neill's found a good spot there at right tackle.
I think too, was it Alex Boone who said switching sides on the offensive line is like wiping your ass with your less dominant hand or something like that?
I'm sure he said something similar.
Yeah, like, it's just different footwork. It's different.
Instead of saying, the normal thing, like writing with your less dominant hand, he says wiping your
Well, I mean, it's a great analogy.
It is. Yeah. But it's not surprising that he said that. But, yeah.
I don't know if it was him or another offensive lineman.
Speaking of wiping, what's your next overreaction?
Brought to you by Dude Wipes or whatever it is. One Wipe Charlie's, or what is that what they're called? I don't know. We don't actually have an ad for that. We'll have an ad later in the show. But all right. So I just got done talking about how the Viking season isn't over. The Vikings should trade Jordan Addison at the deadline. And this is not a take where, the meme where it's like all those like dudes sitting in their car with the sunglasses and they have the goatee like I have. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, I don't like this. Colin Kaepernick should never take a knee. Yes. This is not that kind of take.
No.
As another Minnesota franchise would say, this is a business decision. Because let's look at Jordan Addison's career so far. He gets popped for speeding to save his dog before he ever plays a game. So, by the way, I don't know if the dog's okay.
Yeah, have we ever seen a picture of his dog? If he loved it that much, wouldn't he have pictures of it all over like his Instagram?
I want to know what kind of dog he has.
Right?
Like, is he a lab guy? Is he a golden retriever guy?
Bulldog?
Does he have a pit bull? Does he have a bulldog like Ant does? Yeah. Ant Jr. They even brought Ant Jr. to a Timberwolves game. You know that?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was chilling in the suite with Crunch. Just 2 animals, just like hanging out in a suite. I feel bad for the janitor, but what's that?
Talking shop.
Just, hey, what's life like as an animal? Yeah, totally no, bro. I'm a wolf. I'm kind of like a dog.
Yeah.
But he gets popped for speeding. Has a really good rookie season because Kirk Cousins is great at spreading the ball around. There's that.
Justin Jefferson was out.
Yes. And he gets arrested for a DUI a couple weeks after his teammate gets killed this offseason. Mm-hmm. Saturday, he posts a photo with the caption "Free 3," and everybody loses their mind. Apparently, this is a catchphrase that Addison has used throughout his career. I didn't know about it, but maybe it's like his dog. Like, oh, everybody knows about my dog. But it apparently means he wants to get open and make plays. Okay, great. Unfortunately, he has no sense of timing or context, just like posting him going out for a mimosa after getting a DUI. He may also have a point because he has 3 more targets than Johnny Munt does this season. Part of that is because he missed a couple of games with an ankle injury, but they don't call him the world's best first tight end. They call him. Did you know yesterday was National Tight Ends Day, by the way?
I think somebody mentioned it. Yeah.
It may have slipped under the radar.
Just once. I think if you had a parlay for every tight end in the NFL to score, you might have won.
Yeah, won big money. So I don't know. Jordan Addison might want to think about National Receivers Who Speed Down I-94 Day, and maybe he'll get targets. The thing with Addison is this team's window is in the future, and it feels like it's here, but it's not. Like they're not in the championship window. I know they started 5-0. I know we all want them to go and get in the playoffs and have a chance at the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal. The problem here is, they don't have a lot of draft picks to make big moves. Of all the players on this team, when you look at it, Addison's probably the one that may not fit in that window, and you can get the highest return for him. I don't think they're gonna sell it all. I think they're gonna buy, because they were 4-4 last year without Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter on a contract year, and they decided to bash their heads against a concrete wall until they gave themselves CTE. Shout out to Tagovailoa for sliding yesterday, by the way. I don't know, dark humor, but that was everybody cheering like, they had just won the Super Bowl when he slid. That was kind of dark. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the key contributors on this team are pretty old. So if you are going to sell off pieces, or maybe one or two, this is the type of trade that, you see in baseball, like the Cleveland Guardians or Tampa Bay Rays, where they have a guy and he's pretty good, but he's not great, and you don't want to pay him. So you just ship him off, and people are upset about it in some cases, because I think a lot of people would be upset if Jordan Addison got traded. But I think, too, you get what you can in that moment, because, I don't know, can you get a receiver in return? Maybe one with a little bit more control. Can you get a draft pick back for Jordan Addison? That would help you. Like, you could pay elite in this league. You pay a guy like Justin Jefferson. You pay a guy like Patrick Mahomes. You don't pay good, because, like, we talk about it all the time, we're quarterbacks, but it goes for wide receivers too. Like, how the Browns ever got Jerry Jeudy for a fraction of the price of Justin Jefferson, I'll never know. But, I mean, the trade deadline, I'm not saying be aggressive and be full sellers. And I think this happens before Jordan Addison's rookie contract is done, more than the trade deadline. But if somebody calls and asks about him, based on what he posted this weekend, I would listen and be like, what are you thinking? And if it's not a deal that knocks your socks off, keep Jordan Addison. He's on the team for 2 more years, and then figure it out then. But I don't think he's on this team past his rookie contract.
Yeah, the free 3 thing, like, whatever, it's a slogan or whatever, but the timing is just not good. Like, I have to feel like there's some part of him that knows what he's doing. Like, he knows he's made some dumb decisions, but he's not dumb. He knows probably what he's doing. He knew that was gonna create a little he was stirring the pot a little bit. But this all made me think of, I just watched the comeback on Netflix about the Red Sox Yankees, Red Sox coming back from 3-0, and it reminded me of a part in the show, or I guess their season, when they traded Nomar Garciaparra.
Love
the trade
Nomar.
deadline. Nomar. They a fan favorite, beloved by Red Sox Nation, but he just wasn't playing well, and so the Red Sox, to their fans' demise or distaste or whatever, traded Nomar, and got a better defensive shortstop and Orlando Cabrera back, and a good first baseman, which you probably know by the name of Doug Mankiewicz, who used to play for the Twins.
Greatest, sorry to interrupt you, greatest Twins ad of all time, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
I know. So there was one. So back in the day, in 2001, when the Twins were coming out of the late 90s were like god awful. They won the 2 World Series, and then they just went right in the tank. Like, Kirby Puckett lost sight in his eye. He had to retire, and like they were in full rebuild mode. So nobody knew who was on the team. So they came out with this ad campaign called Get to Know Him. And this is me explaining to you, like most Viking fans listening to the podcast, and maybe like if you're younger, you don't know this, but it was Get to Know Him. So they had like ads like accentuating people for who they were. So like one of them was like Christian Guzman was really fast. So they said he like made the sound of the Bionic Man when he ran. But like the one of the best ones was a radio ad, and it was Doug Mankiewicz, and they were trying to, how do you spell his name? So they turned it into a Schoolhouse Rock song. And it's Doug Mankiewicz, his size and speed are due to genetics. He's a tribute to the world of phonetics. Well, Mientaiewicz. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how you spell Mankiewicz, and it is drilled into my brain 20 years later.
Yeah, for real.
I love me some Doug Mankiewicz. So as soon as you mentioned him, I had to get it out.
You had to get that out. Yes. So they got these two players, and people were sad about Nomar leaving, but they ended up improving their team because they improved the defensive side of the ball and even hitting as well. And they went on to win the World Series, because the point in baseball, which is a lot like football, is one player you can have the best player in baseball. Look at the Angels. They had Shohei Ohtani for all those years, never made the playoffs. But you can have the best player in football and baseball, but if your team isn't good, you need the whole team to pretty much in football. You have to have a really good quarterback too, for most of the time. But like with Addison, it's like if he's going to keep, and there's no reason to think he's not going to keep doing stuff like this or acting like this. It just doesn't seem worth it to keep him around. So even if they trade him at this trade deadline, I don't think I'd be sad. I'd be like, okay, whatever. TJ Hawkins is back. Addison's probably going to get less targets anyways and still be mad or whatever, even if he's not. Aaron Jones has become a threat out of the backfield as a receiver. So like, it's not like Addison was out for he was out those 2 games and they were fine. They didn't even have Hawkinson and they were fine. They beat the Niners without him. So, I'm just over his stuff at this point. Like I don't think it's worth it at this point. Let him go to the Raiders or something, or somewhere where he can just fuck around and do whatever he wants and get paid, as he said, infamously when he got drafted.
I don't have a big problem with comments like the get paid comments. It's the speeding. It's
if you back it up.
DUI. Exactly. Yeah. Randy Moss did dumb shit all the time, and like he was the best player on the field. So a lot of people like myself were like running over a meter maid. Who cares?
Yeah. Like, he's going to score 3 touchdowns this weekend.
It's not good, but
right.
So I don't know. Yeah. Do it on. Well, where if you feel like Jordan Addison's going to have a rebound game, where you could go do it at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players by just selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. Underdog is the best place to cash in on all of your takes this football season. Which players are going off, which players are ice cold. Make your entries in just a few taps and turn your sports opinions into real money. Underdog also has vulture prediction. So if you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, caw, we will rescue your entry. And Underdog also has a game known as Red Zone Rush, a game you won't find anywhere else. Just pick whether or not a player will score a touchdown by swiping right for yes and left for no, just like Tinder. And it's simple as that. Plus, your entry will be automatically boosted and you'll get a 51% profit boost when you play. I've actually been using the Underdog Fantasy app. I look into the camera here and have used the website for multiple years. Their app is super easy to use. And tonight is the Sports Equinox, which you know what that means, Adam, right?
Yep.
All 4 sports in action at the same time.
Track and field.
I don't know if track and field is on Underdog, but they should definitely do it. Justin Gatlin, higher or lower? 9
Justin Gatlin. Wow.
Yeah. Is that Noah Lyles? I was trying to remember who
it's like 10 years ago.
I'm old. Yeah. I might fire off some football picks tonight. You could do some World Series action, maybe a little NBA action. I'm a little sad that every sport plays tonight, but there's no Minnesota sports. But hey, you can always make some higher picks on Anthony Edwards tomorrow or set up your picks for next Sunday's game between the Vikings and the Colts. Download the app today and use the code THEAGE. That's all one word. To get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, download the app today and use the code THEAGE to get to up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Select higher or lower on your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. If you are concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text next step to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Yes, there you go. Underdog Fantasy. I believe, is it your turn for an overreaction? I just saw the perfect opportunity to get our sponsor in. So yeah. My apologies.
Great segue. Yes, I know how your first overreaction was that the season is over and everything, and it's an overreaction for a reason. But I'm gonna give you this one, which is you can declare the Viking season over if they lose to Anthony Richardson and the Colts next Sunday. So Anthony Richardson might be the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. He's completing 44.4% of his passes right now, which someone asked him about yesterday, and he responded with, Michael Vick didn't complete a lot of his passes, and he turned out to be one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. It's like, you're not Michael Vick. Okay. He has a passer rating right now of 57.2. He's thrown 7 interceptions and fumbled 6 times. The Colts offense is significantly worse with him starting, and sometimes when he gets tired, he has to come out of the game to catch his breath when he's doing his job. If the Vikings lose to him and the rest of the Colts next Sunday, there's plenty of reason to be concerned about the Vikings for the rest of the season and maybe beyond in the future, because this is a game they should win, and they need to win, and they must win. So please, Vikings, beat the Colts, or else people are going to be burning, Aaron Jones jerseys before we know it. Maybe not him, because he's nice, but Sam Darnold. Did you see someone burning Aaron Rodgers' jersey yesterday?
No. A Jets fan?
Yeah.
It is so good to see him fail. I'm a hater to the day I die when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, but I got a big old smile on my face when I saw the Patriots pull that victory off, because I don't know, the whole power play thing, getting Devontae Adams in there. It's good to see that not pan out. You mentioned the Michael Vick thing, and I looked it up. Michael Vick completed 56.2% of his passes during his career. His best season, where I had him on my fantasy team, 2010, he had a 62.6% completion percentage.
The Eagles?
Yep, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He also did a whole lot of damage on the ground as well. But Anthony Richardson now completing 44% of his passes this season.
Like 2 for 15 in the first half yesterday?
Yeah. And then he had that really bad interception right before halftime, and then Houston cashed in immediately with a touchdown. Colts won that game. They did win, right? They didn't. They fumbled it at the end. Which would have been it, because that's the last. There's so much going on in the last 30 minutes of the opening window that it was just hard to keep track. Yeah. So, and it was super awesome.
It was a good day to be off.
Yeah.
For our team to be off.
Yes. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that was happening, it's good when you're not team's not involved on the bad end of it. So there is that. He's turning into like the new Trey Lance, where he has a lot of tools. You look at him and he looks like the kind of player you create in like CFB and like try to recruit. But at the same time, he just doesn't have a lot of experience. I don't know what the exact stat is, but he has like 10 games started since, the end of high school or something.
Yeah, I think he's 3-3 this year. So he started 6 games this year, and I think he did 4 last year. So he started 10
he's got
games
10.
in the NFL.
Yeah. 17 game average right now is 500 quarterback, 12 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and a 50.2. And you know what? He's only 22 years old, but I mean, maturity seems to be lacking there as well, because I don't know. I'm just happy Vikings fans aren't the only one that's probably going to be tired next Sunday with that late kickoff, because Brian Flores is going to wear him out.
Also, if you were tired and that's why you came out, don't say that. Be like, I got another wind knocked out of me or whatever. Say that.
I tweaked an ankle, but it's fine. Well, actually, you can't say that. Then they have to put it on the injury report.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a time and place to be honest, and that wasn't it.
It just
someone's got to be like, dude, what are you doing?
Colts PR kind of must have lost their mind behind the thing, just no, what are you doing?
Also, is it his fault that he's bad too? Should he even be playing?
I don't think Shane Steichen is good. He's another one of those Philadelphia guys where it's there's Nick Sirianni, there's people. He was at the right hand of Frank Reich, right?
Yeah.
He was one of those dudes, and people love Frank Reich, and I'm just is he that good? Really? I don't know. He's got the cool hipster beard and everything else, but
it's Oilers.
Yeah, and I mean, I was never a fan of his. So this whole Frank Reich, Doug Peterson coaching tree, Doug Peterson having his own issues right now. I mean, it does nothing for me. So I don't know. I went into last week not fearing the Rams, but they had players that could make their life miserable, especially when you don't prepare for them. Not that anybody would.
Oh, the Colts still have good players, like Jonathan Taylor. If he plays, you got to account for him, obviously.
Sure.
Josh Downs is good. Michael Pittman's good. They got some good defenders. So they're 4-4, so they're not awful. But when Anthony Richardson is on the field, their offense just can't do anything, or except for throw a 70-yard bomb randomly in the middle of the game, and then that's 90% of his passing yards. But it's just I'm so happy. I'll be so happy if Joe Flacco doesn't play on Sunday, because
I want no part of Joe Flacco.
They would be so much better. They were so much better. But it makes no sense. It's got to be a call from ownership, Irsay being no, you got to play him. He's got to play. It's okay, but we can win if Flacco plays. It's it's okay. We'll start Richardson.
Yeah. Just
Colts known for having a history of treating their young quarterbacks well. I think somebody on the Vikings would know a lot about that. His name is Ryan Grigson. Yeah.
Can we, before Sunday's game, can we have John Randall as an honorary captain, and then just have a hobby horse, with the horse head and the stick, and just have him slap the Colts.
That's great.
John Randall, melting cheese, slapping fake horses.
He's great. I just watched him. He was on Marshawn Lynch his podcast recently. That was
really.
Yeah, and Adrian Peterson was just on the most recent one. I gotta listen to that.
I'll have to go back and
Peterson
check
said
that
he
out.
had he said he had a hernia in the last 4 games of the 2012 season, and in his MVP season. So he was hurt even more, and he still almost broke Dickerson's record.
Maybe if he didn't get hurt, he would have broke Dickerson's record. No, that's not even a slap. I mean, that season's still just insane. It's go save the season.
You did.
Okay. I will. All right. Moving on to my final overreaction. I had 3. You had 2. You're on the Roman Reigns schedule, so it totally understands. Halloween is Thursday. Saw a lot of nice costumes this week. People really killed it. Just want to point that out. There was one, a parent somewhere had dressed up their kids as 2 Vikings players.
Yes, I saw that.
And then they had a ref. So one was grabbing the face mask. She's like, we didn't have any Ram stuff, so this is the best we could do. But the other, the ref part was the best, because they were dressed up like a ref, and they had like the white cane and like the sunglasses,
blind
like they
ref.
were blind. Yeah. So well done there. But there are a lot of great horror villains out there. There's Freddy Krueger, there's Jason Voorhees. But I present to you the greatest horror villain of all time, and his name is Kirk Cousins. Congratulations to the NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons, by the way. They're the only team above 500 in the division after yesterday's win over the Tampa Bay Bucks, who don't have Chris Godwin or Mike Evans or any of that. But the new nightmare was in rare form yesterday. 276 yards, 4 touchdowns, a 145.9 passer rating. Looks like a franchise quarterback to me. Oh, look, he's wearing a chain again. Oh, he just said no cap, tip your trap, or whatever it was. Everybody loves Big Kirko right now. But like every good horror villain, they make you feel safe. They make you feel welcome. But there's a dark side somewhere. And just when you feel safe, oh my God, he lined up under the guard. What are you doing? Oh, a check down on 4th and 8 with the season on the line. What are we doing here? Golly gee, Frank. It's so loud. The fans are loud. What's the play call? Kirk Cousins makes Art the Clown piss his pants, and he doesn't need to hack people up with a hacksaw or disembowel them to do it. Which is great because I'm not a fan. Personally, I don't know about you. I like suspense in my horror movies more than like gore fests. Like everything after Saw 1
Thriller
sucks. Yeah. You know, like, oh my God, something bad is about to happen. But but Kirk Cousins, it's so funny watching it from afar as a Vikings fan, because like you've seen the movie. This is like Friday the 13th, part 7, where it's just like, Jason's hiding in the room next to them, and he's going to come out with like the machete and hack up, some unsuspecting Falcons fans, 1, 2, Kirko is coming for you. 3, 4. Oh gosh, that's 4th down. Frick, I better play it safe here. It's coming. And the end is going to be, yeah.
Was it last year or the year before where Justin Jefferson warmed up in a Michael Myers mask? I think it was 22.
22.
Right? I think so, because he was hurt last year during Halloween.
The guy wearing a Michael Myers mask now should be in a Vikings uniform next year, but
thing. Breaking news, not with the Vikings, but the Chiefs just traded for Josh Uche from the Patriots, pass rusher.
Okay.
So, because that's what the Chiefs need. They need another defender because their defense is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay, so there's that trade. Yeah. I went to the San Diego Zoo on Saturday. World famous.
Did you flip off the monkeys?
No.
Anchorman reference in case people are wondering what that means.
They might have flipped me off. Well, we went there to go see the pandas, but then we got there and the line was like 2 miles long. And we're like, all right, we're going to come back on like a Tuesday afternoon when no one's here. But they had like a Halloween thing going on. So my kids dressed up, and then like there's a bunch of people dressed up. I saw some little kid dressed up as like a Stanley Cup, not the hockey one, but like the Stanley Cups that people have, those giant cups that moms have and carry everywhere. Somebody was just like that, and there was a lot of good stuff. But yeah, and then Thursday we'll be obviously going trick-or-treating, getting all that fun stuff. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, we've seen this story before. Like everyone gets excited. What is it? It's Kirktober, still Kirktober. So and I believe I saw against the Bucks this year, he's thrown for like 800 yards and 8 touchdowns and no interceptions. So clearly likes playing against the Bucks.
The new Lions,
right? So yeah, it seems good right now, and you're excited. You feel like you've gotten away from the monster right now. You're safe, but just when you think you're safe is when he's going to pop out of nowhere and ruin your life. So enjoy, Falcons fans, because your time is coming.
I know this is playing with fire. I hope it's Vikings Falcons in the playoffs.
Oh no, don't do that.
It would be so damn juicy and just, yeah. Like that would be so, and like even if he like just chopped up the Vikings.
Yeah, you know who else is hoping for that? Every broadcast network because they can just go with that storyline the entire week.
Yes. If you thought you were annoyed by National Tight Ends Day, wait until the Vikings play the Falcons.
What would Kevin O'Connell even do? Would it be like Ric Flair against Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania when Shawn Michaels was like whispering "I'm sorry" before he kicks him in the face, and Kevin O'Connell's just like, "I'm sorry."
Kirk's like, "Come on, give it to me."
Brian Flores' defense sacks him for the 8th time in the game. Just like,
Kirk's on his knees going like, "Come on," and like Kevin O'Connell can't do it for it, and Brian Flores just comes out, "Fine."
On air production note too, we're good to go a little over because the Steelers are playing Monday night, and that's who the podcast is after us. So they're not recording after us.
Okay, good.
So we're safe.
I did not even like take into consideration other podcasts. So that's great to know.
All right.
We might as well move on here because I lost track of time because just talking, having fun about Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
It's time for one of my favorite Monday traditions here on the show. It is called Acknowledge Him. This is a tribute to our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. The Usos are back, by the way.
Yeah, and I already ruined things for me and watched the recorded video of someone on YouTube. Okay, good.
The bloodline is back.
Yes,
the bloodline is back.
Spoiler alert. Oh, we ruined it for you.
They had to do it then, but at the same time, it kind of sucks they had to do it on a recorded episode because it's everywhere now. But in honor of our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, we pick one player each week to acknowledge and honor their performance on the show. So, who are you acknowledging after week 8 of the NFL season?
Since the Vikings lost, I won't pick a Viking. Sometimes I do when they lose, but not this time. This time I'm going to go with Bears cornerback Tyreek Stevenson.
That's who I had.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Because we all saw the Hail Mary yesterday where the Commanders won on the last play. Before the Hail Mary, a video showed Tyreek Stevenson taunting Washington fans and getting talking to them. And then he realized, oh shit, the play's going on. So he ran over to where all the players were for the Hail Mary. He ended up tipping the Hail Mary pass to Commanders receiver Noah Brown, who then caught the game-winning touchdown. He proceeded to then apologize shortly after on Twitter because he's an idiot. And then I just want to say I acknowledge you, Tyreek Stevenson, for playing a major part in such probably a very, yes, the best moment from Sunday and maybe the best moment of the season so far, which is just an improbable win by the Commanders. So I acknowledge you, Tyreek Stevenson, and apparently so does Chris.
You know what the best part was? There was a wrestling connection to that play.
Oh, really? Oh, Seth Rollins was in the stands. That's right. I saw that.
In a luxury suite in the end zone where the Hail Mary happened.
Yep.
And the look on his face is just peak Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins probably hates football today.
He had the Undertaker guy face after the streak was broken.
It's so funny watching it because it's just like, get back, guys. The season's on the line. And he's just busy talking shit. And by the time he gets back to work, receivers are 20 yards down the field. His job is to follow Noah Brown on that play, and he just lost him. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Bears defensive backs room this week because that's going to be out. Yeah.
You think he'll get fined internally?
Yes, there will be some kangaroo court action when it comes to Tyreek Stevenson. Also,
dinner.
Yes. Also, as our friend of the show, not a Vikings fan, but April Meyer, one of my friends, put it, you're on the clock, bro. You might want to do your job here for the last couple of seconds.
To be fair to him, the chances of that happening, very, very low. But still, in the NFL, you got to play until the clock reads 0. Vikings fans know Minneapolis Miracle.
Yes, so. And also too, it only takes one guy to mess up, and the whole play goes to hell as it did there. So
and I just saw Eberflus said he didn't care about that 15-yard out route pass that they caught before that. And again, Quinn was like, if we didn't get that, we don't get the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Because they got they were able to get closer. But also Jaden Daniels has got a cannon on his arm, and he was playing with
bad ribs. Yeah, with bad ribs too.
Also, the Lions did it right because Darnold tried to do a Hail Mary at the end of that game or whatever 2 weeks ago, and the Lions rushed an extra passer. They blitzed the Vikings and got Darnold. Why don't more teams do that? Because it takes forever for their players to get down there. You see guys like Aaron Rodgers just have like 15 seconds to get ready and throw the ball. It's like, why don't you just send extra rushers and make him earn it and not have time to wind up? I don't know. I think after maybe that, more people would do it, but probably not.
Yeah. Okay, if I gotta get one on the fly, because this is the other guy I was thinking of. Scott Hansen. I acknowledge Scott Hansen because the last 30 minutes of Red Zone were incredible. And he does this every week. And it just, I don't know, on Sundays where you're off and don't have to worry about the Vikings, we'll have another one this week because
was he on Monday night too?
Scott Hansen?
Yeah, because there was 2 games. He was going between like the Cardinals and Chargers.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was going on the Manning cast giving updates.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was on the Manning. That's great. They should just hire him to do both right there.
Because it was like, what was it? The Ravens and who was it? So who was playing on Monday night? I don't remember.
Chargers,
it was the
Cardinals.
But then who was on ESPN? Regular ESPN.
I was watching Raw. I was watching Jey Uso lose the Intercontinental title. But it doesn't matter. Bucks Ravens.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Chris Godwin's leg snapped in half.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, every week it's just, I don't know, once he gets going in that witching hour, man, and if it's good, it's just, all right, now we're gonna go over to Tennessee. Tennessee's playing Detroit right now. They're getting absolutely started. Oh, we got a big play over in Cleveland. Oh, Tyreek Stevenson's shit talking to a fan. It's a Hail Mary. This is incredible. And just sitting there watching at home, I was working all weekend and I had to put the laptop down because it was so good this week. So I acknowledge you, Scott Hansen, just like everybody dressing up like you as Halloween.
Also, impressive bladder. Doesn't pee at all through those 8 hours. Just, I think I saw something where he says he stops drinking water or coffee or whatever 2 or 3 hours before he goes on, just so he doesn't.
Which is impressive because then anybody who watches the podcast, I'm drinking something constantly to lubricate the pipes and everything. But it's
I think
it's quite impressive.
I think I saw he's a free agent or whatever. His contract's coming up, so we'll see what happens with that.
Does he have Mike McCartney as his agent? I want $84 million, fully guaranteed, or else.
Listen, if the NFL,
where else is he gonna go?
Yeah, right. Who's
going to do Red Zone? Start
they fired Siciliano. He was the one who did it for DirecTV.
Yeah,
Red Zone. But yeah, the NFL, they got to resign him, and I'm sure Scott Hansen's I'll just resign.
Yeah,
that's what he does. It's not like he can go on. I know he does some other stuff for NFL Network or whatever during the offseason, interviews and stuff, but he's not going to go on ESPN and do Sports Center or whatever. He probably could, but or maybe he does want to do other stuff. But he's the Red Zone guy. Like Chris Berman, he's the primetime guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so still going strong. Hopefully Red Zone will be on for another 30 years, just like primetime. Also, primetime, perfect opportunity yesterday to say knock it down when they're in the Hail Mary. It's the Golden Rule by Tom Jackson.
Yes.
But Bears didn't know it.
It just screams in your head.
Knock it down!
Let's close by this. We talked a little bit about Anthony Richardson, Vikings Colts preview. So, like I said, Anthony's not going to be the only guy tired for his 7 p.m. kickoff. But what are you looking forward to in this game on Sunday?
I'm looking forward to the Vikings crowd being there, being loud. I'm looking forward to the Vikings defense with Blake Cashman back there, hopefully getting back to how they were playing before they played the Lions and Rams and making life miserable for Anthony Richardson, causing turnovers. This game is setting up perfectly for the Vikings defense to pretty much just dominate and the Vikings offense just having to do pretty much the bare minimum. At the same time, Hawkinson's going to play, so I'm going to want to see how he does in his first game back, see if he's maybe on a pitch count or anything like that. see how much of a difference he makes, in third down situations, red zone situations. Yeah, I think, and then what they do at left tackle, because people will be wondering what they do there, and the Colts actually have some decent pass rushers that could make life difficult for the Vikings on that side of the line. So I'm curious to see if the Vikings maybe adjust their kind of game plan to not depend on their left side of the line blocking better, because I think they need to not get that benefit of the doubt this time. Maybe call some quicker passes, take a page out of the Lions and Rams book, and call some quicker passes, some screens. Maybe they can trade for Jahmyr Gibbs and just hand him the ball like the Lions do, and he just runs for 90 yards every time he gets the ball, too. That's not going to happen. But yeah, what are they favored by right now? Because I'm assuming the Vikings are favored. I don't, they're at home against a team that's.
Well, I mean, the season's over, like I said, so maybe now the Colts.
Check the line real quick.
Yeah.
On FanDuel.
Well, while you do that, I'll kind of mention I'm just excited for this team to get back on the field, because I want to get that taste out of my mouth. I'm excited to see TJ Hawkinson play football again, because I think that will help the Vikings offense a lot compared to what we're doing. What are we? What do you think? Not favored, are we?
Guess the line as Bill Simmons and
say the line, Bart. Vikings by a touchdown.
Close, 5.5.
5.5. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you said they have a lot of good. I'm not a fan of their coach. I'm not a fan of their quarterback.
No. But this is a classic. It's a classic Vikings game where you're like, oh, they should like the Rams game pretty much was like, oh, the Rams are bad this year. They're not going to win. And then Cooper Kupp's back, Puka Nakua's back.
It's Puka's music.
It really was. Like, I'm surprised Mike Florio didn't come out with an article about like the Rams cheating and not saying that Puka was actually going to be healthy enough to play, but he was too busy writing about, trading for Matthew Stafford, and which we really never dove into that because it was stupid, but yeah, that's not going to happen anymore anyways. Because the Rams could win the NFC West.
Right. They're back in. I mean, they're a different team with two of their best players. Go figure.
Weird.
Funny how that works. It's almost like if you think they should play them, you should probably do that.
The people who should be mad are fantasy owners or whatever for Puka, because they're like, this happened with McCaffrey too. When nothing was said about McCaffrey all offseason, people pick him number one. Then the 49ers are like, oh, we forgot to tell you he's hurt. So he's not gonna play.
He's hurt pretty bad, actually. He's got to go to Germany.
His career is in jeopardy. So
I'm sure Jordan Mason just has a flesh wound after missing like 3/4 of the game last night.
You got Puka, who they're like, we opened his practice window 21 days. Oh wait, a day later we're activating him.
Like if do you think if the Vikings knew Puka was going to play, do you think they would have activated Hawkinson?
To cover Puka? No.
Not only are we bringing him back, we're putting him at edge rusher.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
I think this was the plan the whole time, to rest him, to get him into practice, get him in the football shape, as people like to say, and get him as ready as possible for the Colts game. And the Colts, like, going against the Colts it's not going against the Lions. We'll just say that.
And they've slow played this thing at every every time they could have taken a shortcut with this thing, they didn't.
Well, yeah, they just signed him to an extension. They don't want to rush him back and ruin his entire future with the Vikings, because every week that goes by decreases the chance of him getting re-injured. But then hopefully the Vikings and Lions game in week 18 doesn't matter, so Kirby Joseph can't just destroy his knee again with his helmet.
That would be another, if NFL or WWE thing. TJ Hawkinson, no, Kirby Joseph, what are you doing here?
I mean, going back to the baseball thing, if it were baseball, somebody from the Vikings would be beating Joseph in the head next time they saw him with the baseball.
Yes.
I didn't realize Pedro Martinez was like a bad guy, a bad dude. Like, if someone like hit one of his players, he'd go up to him and be like, okay, who do you want me to hit? And they're like, what? He's like, who do you want me to hit?
Pedro is the man. I mean,
he was.
That guy was. You want to talk about ace? Like I love that shit.
Oh
but,
yeah.
All right. We should probably wrap up here. What's going on at the Viking age right now?
Well, we're still getting ready for the trade deadlines coming up. So, trying to figure out if the Vikings are going to be buyers or sellers. I think there's arguments on both sides, especially after the last 2 weeks. And then we'll be getting into, the Colts stuff. Keep an eye on what the Vikings do at left tackle. See if Dalton Reisner gets activated. There's a bunch of stuff to pay attention to this week. So make sure you go check out thevikingage.com. Follow me, Adam Patrick NFL, on Threads and X.
As he said, he is Adam Patrick at Patrick NFL. I am Chris Schad at the Real Chris Schad. This is the Viking Age podcast. We do this episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. For Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad. This has been the Viking Age podcast.